We all know that your copywriting is going to be incredibly important for converting your clients into paid reoccurring clients. But did you know you could actually be making some really big mistakes inside of the copy on your website, your newsletter, your systems and funnels, and even in your sales pages? Today, we're breaking down everything you need to know about these mistakes with copywriting expert Alyson Lex, and she's going to be breaking down what you can be doing in order to level up that copy to make it more optimized for you. Let's jump in.
Hi, I'm Alyson Lex, and I have been writing copy for 15 fun but very long years. I love helping people convert their audience into leads into sales, fixing profit and conversion rates and ROI and all that fun stuff. And I'm really excited to talk about it today.
So am I, because you are the master of creating that effective copy that actually converts. And I know because you have so much work in this field, you've seen a lot of potential mistakes. So let's jump in and talk about some issues that people have with their copywriting.
All right, there are a few. One of the biggest ones is talking about yourself too early and too often. And it's really hard to not, because our product, our service, our thing, this is our baby. We're so excited. It's the best thing we've ever come up with. But your people don't see it that way yet. And really, they don't care about it the way that they'll never care about it the way you do. But they don't care about it at all until you show them what it's going to do for them. People at their core, this is just human nature, psychology, we're very self-centered. It's all about us, right? We're the only ones that live in our bodies all of our lives. So it's all about us. And we want to know how things affect us. Your customers have the same feeling about your thing. And so opening a social post, an email, a sales page, an opt-in page with the word I, immediate disconnect. Talk about them and what they're feeling and what they want and the problems they want to have solved before you mention a thing about you, your company, your product, or your dog, your cats, anything. That is absolutely number one mistake. And there are more. I can keep going.
Oh, I love it. And that's one of the things we talk about a lot here on the page, because with social media, a lot of people think that it's going to reflect on them. We have to talk about our cat and our coffee order and all of those things. But that just doesn't translate well, because people don't care if it doesn't impact and affect them. So it's a really good note for when we're creating our copy for social media, for our websites, for our opt-in pages. And I know with that in mind, there are those other mistakes. So what else do people do?
Yeah. So the other thing that people do is they over edit themselves. And this, I think, is because we want to put our best foot forward. And, before we hopped on here, we were talking about bloopers and how eons ago, we both individually, of course, made the decision that we're just going to let those ride. But not everybody has that. And so they want to put their best foot forward. They want the words to be perfect. But what ends up happening is they pull all the personality out. And it's just, it might as well have been written by an animatron down the street, right? So I love telling people to actually pick up their phone, and it can be a video or audio, or you can go to the otter.ai app and just download that. It's free. Talk right into it, and it'll transcribe your speech to text. Edit that, clean it up to make it look like you wrote it, not spoke it, and put it out. Be conversational. My copy is very informal. I try not to use big words. But I don't try to dumb it down too much either. Like, it's just what you see on the screen. If you're getting an email from me, is exactly how I would say it out of my mouth.
I love that. And I'm an author outside of this life. One of the things we talk about is not using those big flowery words or trying to be overly impressive, because people have to be able to understand and relate to it. So I very much like the idea of creating it as you would speak it and then cleaning it up just a little bit and making sure it's on a level that's conversational.
Conversational, yes. And you actually tapped into, unknowingly, another mistake that people make with their copy. And it also goes into the design of things, is They don't double check for stumbling blocks. And I am just as guilty of this as the next person. So I have friends who will take a look at some of my copy and they'll point out, Alyson, I stumbled on that. It's those big words. It's the things that people may not understand. It's a big guilty sign right here. The metaphors that might be just a stretch that make 1,000,000% sense in my brain, but they do not translate outwardly. Those are stumbling blocks. And those are where people are going to be reading along, and then just hit that wall. And what that does is that pulls them out of the story that you've got them in, and they're gonna go away. So this happens with design too, right? You want to think about how somebody's going to interact with your page. Is there going to be a big white space in between this block of text and that block of text? They're going to think they've hit the end and they're going to go away. Check the tech. Do things not load? Do things not render? Is there a GIF that you meant to put there but it didn't show up? Those are all stumbling blocks, things that just distract them enough that they've checked out. And not checking for those things or putting the level of importance on them that needs to be is a big mistake.
And I really like that you said that you check your pages and your content with other people. One of the things that I experience as an author is that I will think something makes perfect sense and is in alignment with what I'm writing inside of my books, inside of my stories, and the different things that I'm creating. And it feels good to me because that's the way that I speak. But when I have somebody checking over what I'm doing, they can come back and say, well, Cam, this feels kind of heavy. It feels kind of clunky. I feel like there should be a different word here. I don't resonate with this one. It's not working in the way that you think it does because it's working for you. So having those alternate views come in to something that we're very close to and can't really see more than just what's right there in front of our faces is incredibly helpful to make sure that the design, the words we choose, the things that we're creating are going to be effective for people outside of our teeny tiny little bubble and resonates with those people.
It's a really hard thing to let go of your ego
in
those situations because, like I said before, this is your baby. This is your thing. This is amazing. And of course, every decision you've made is correct. But as soon as you can let go of the ego and just recognize that nobody knows everything, I've been doing this for a really long time. I still throw out some stinkers. It happens. And that's okay. You know, and we hear this, you're just one funnel away thing. And I'm not trying to put anybody on blast. I use that product and love that product. But the truth is, you could be a lot more than just one away. Not everything's a winner right off the bat. And when we look out there and all we see are quote unquote winners, well, that's because we didn't see all the stinkers that came before. I think, and this was a number of years ago, that even some of the most well-known funnel creators only have a winner one every 7 to 15 funnels. So if that's one of the best, what hope do we have of getting a 1-in-1 shot?
That is a very, very good point. And we really need to, as we're creating our copy, as we're creating our funnels, as we're building up our businesses, be aware that we're going to try things that do not work the way that we think that they're going to, or the way that we hope that they are going to. So what else can we be doing to make sure we're leveling up the copy that we're creating?
So I don't like templates because they don't allow for that personality. But I love formulas, okay? So following a process that takes people through the journey is really important. And I have one, so of course I'm going to tell you all about it. But first, I want to open with people buy based on emotion and they justify with logic, which means if we can't get them to want it, they're not going to buy it. End of discussion, okay? That is why in my formula, step number 1 is to open with a really big promise. And I don't mean the kind of promise that you can't back up. I mean the one you can. We're not saying lose 100 pounds overnight. We're saying your version of what is doable for you. Okay. Right. So I would say make the marketing you're already doing work better, not make $1 million. Okay. So a big promise. The point is to draw their attention and make them curious about what the heck you're talking about. All right. So after that, you're going to kind of transition in. You're going to back up that promise with just a little bit more detail. This is usually like the subhead area or even the very first couple sentences of the copy. And this is if we're talking long form. You can smush this if you're on social. Okay. So it's smushable, it's expandable. So then, you back it up with a little bit more detail, right? I'm going to show you my 5-step process to creating copy that converts, that will help you look at what you're already doing and improve it. That kind of thing. Then step number 2 is identify the problem. And I have a fun little term for this. It's called poke the bruise. The reason is, yep. And when I speak about this, I have a meme that says it's that one does not simply meme, have a bruise and not poke it. It's so silly, but the reason is you run into the doorknob, it hurts like the dickens, right? It might throb for an hour or more, or longer, depending on how hard you ran into that thing. Ask me how I know. But the next day, all you have left of that run-in with the doorknob is the little purple circle. And it doesn't hurt. It's just there unless you poke it. And that's my way of just really demonstrating that your people aren't walking around as if they've just hit the doorknob. They're walking around with purple circles. The pain isn't active. It's just there. It's behind the scenes. It's in the back of their mind. They're busy living. It's our job to poke the bruise and bring that pain forward. All right. So we're going to do that by just talking to them about it. And I understand statements are really, really good here. I understand what it's like to sit in front of a blank screen and watch that cursor blinking at you. It's frustrating, right? And I know I said the word I, but I'm talking about them. So break my mistake rule from earlier. But, right, it's really tough. And what's worse is how much is riding on it. Like, just kind of talk to them. You're empathizing. You're putting on your empathy hat. You're living in their shoes. And you're understanding what the problems are that they really want to have solved and what the hopes are that they have. So you have fear-based or pain, pain avoidance or gain. Pain or gain. I like to use both. Pain will outperform gain every time, by the way. But I like to use both because otherwise you just sound really mean. All right. So you're going to poke the bruise. You're going to make it hurt. Then step 3 is you're going to introduce the solution. You're going to tell them that there's a better way, right? The infomercials, but wait, there's a better way. There's a better way to do this. And frankly, it's to follow an expert that understands what copy is like and can give you a formula to help you get through it. I happen to know one of those. It's me. And here's my offer. Here's what I can do for you. Here's why I'm the person. Here's why I've earned the right to sell this to you right now. I've done this for so long. Here are my results. Here are some testimonials I've got, right? You're going to tell them about what you've got. Then step 4 is you're going to tell them how to get it. Be confident here. And this is video too, guys. Okay. Don't be like, so if you want, you can, just call me. It's fine. Don't do that. Say, hey, head over to thisisawesome.com, click the bright pink button on the page, schedule a call with me, and let's talk about what your problem is. Give them exactly step by step what you want them to do next. And that way there's no confusion and it reduces the anxiety of what's going to happen. If you let them know what to expect, they're going to know what to expect. And it's going to overcome an objection they didn't even know they had, which is, how am I going to get my thing? Okay? Now, step 5, Because if you listened, steps 3 and 4, the details about my product and how to get it, they were very logical. So, given what I said back at the beginning of this little monologue here, we got to bring them back to an emotional state because that's how they buy. So we're going to revisit some of the stuff that we talked about in the beginning, right? Imagine what it would be like if you didn't have to stare at that blank screen anymore. Imagine how great it's going to feel to know that this is just out of your hands and taken care of, right? This is where we get some of that more aspirational in. And then you just close with, again, instructing them on what to do, and you're done. Again, that can be 10 sentences. It does not need to be, how long did I talk? Forever.
That's fantastic, though. And I really like that you can kind of use this formula to craft something like a social media post all the way to those long form content opt-in pages. And you can expand as needed. You can retract that as needed. And you can use it over and over again to direct them to take action. I think the most important thing that you said within that entire conversation was clarity, so that they know what to expect and what to do. Because you can say the most beautiful things in the world and not tell them what steps to take. And if you don't tell them what to do next, they're not going to. And if you give them too many options, they're not going to take that action. So being very clear on the step-by-step of here's what you need, here's how to get it, is going to then elicit them to move forward with that conversation with you.
Yes, that's exactly it. And you touched on something. Too many options is a killer, isn't it? I mean, yeah. I have seen pages, and it hurts. It hurts. They're like, oh, well, you could do this, or you could do that, or you can go here, or you can talk here. What? We're just trying to sell a course. To the point where, opt-in pages, we call them opt-in pages, maybe landing pages, but they're not as well known as squeeze pages. And the reason is because there's no navigation on them other than the required terms and conditions and privacy policy at the bottom, or the big red X in the corner. We're squeezing them into what we want them to do, which is opt in or leave. And I don't like putting navigation on my sales pages either, for that same reason. I want all of their attention. I don't want to give them 85 options because they're going to choose none of them.
Mm-hmm. And that's really important, not just for copywriting on your pages and not just for your page creation, but we talk about that in terms of the videos we're creating too. Our YouTube pages, we're giving one call to action. Our live streams, we're giving one call to action. We're making people a very clear path to move forward. And that translates into every area of our businesses.
Everything. I have a social media expert that works with me in my business, and she saw my link tree and she was like, Alyson, there's like 80 things on here. I was like, well, I know, but I talk about it. And she's like, no, 3. So everything, this matters. Really think about how much attention, and that's what it is. You're asking them to pay attention and put effort and energy into figuring it out. But our job as marketers, which if you're a business owner, you're the marketer of your business. Our job is to make it as easy for them to buy from us as possible. If you can get them to do it with one click, great. I mean, really, everything you can do to make it easier is important.
That is a very good point. And as we're wrapping up today's conversation, I want to make sure that we've covered everything that we really need to know about writing that effective copy. So what did we miss in today's conversation?
Oh, goodness. So much.
And that's why they're going to hang out with you on social media, which we'll get to in a second.
So the biggest thing that I really want to make sure is, I talked briefly about empathy and understanding your customer, but I don't just mean understanding like who they are at a Facebook ad level. I mean, I need you to know them like they're your family, like family that you like, because not everybody likes their whole family. Okay, let's just put it out there, right? I need you to know them deeply to the point where they feel seen People want to feel seen, understood, and like they've got somebody in this with them. And they're not going to feel that if you don't know them enough.
That is a very good point. Alyson, where can everybody hang out with you online?
You can hang out with me online mostly. Actually, just go to my website, alysonlex.com. That's ALYSONLEX.com. I should have social icons on there. And then you can also get my freebie and contact me and all that good stuff. So that's the hub. And I have a podcast, System to Thrive, which is on all your favorite podcast platforms.
Be sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell because we're having Alyson back for more conversations on how you can be leveling up inside of your business and dropping daily videos on how to level up on social media so you don't have to spend a ton of time on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, live streaming, and more when you could be running your business and doing the things that you love. So we're going to save you time and effort and a lot of stress. Make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell. And if you've got questions for Alyson, go ahead and drop those down below. We're going to be monitoring your comments over the next couple of days and weeks so we can make sure we're getting what you need answered. We'll see you in the next episode.